This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Thursday, the 9th day of May in the year 2019. Here is what we're tracking tonight. The issue of GCOM's preparedness to host elections within 3 months following the passage of a no-confidence motion came up for questioning before the Caribbean Court of Justice today, as the court heard oral arguments in the appeal of the no-confidence cases. The attorney representing the Guyana Elections Commission Senior Counsel Stanley Marcus was grilled by the judges of the CCJ, who wanted to know why the Elections Commission would not be ready to host elections within the 3 months after a no-confidence motion.
And my point is that GCOM, as you said, is an independent commission. And if the persons in Parliament do not act, to use your words, with maturity, and it is not possible to get that two-thirds majority vote in order to extend the 3-month period, then what is GCOM's responsibility?
Lord G, there will be a constitutional crisis. I'm so regret to say, if you cannot get the members of the National Assembly to act in a responsible and mature manner to do what's necessary, then we're going to have a constitutional crisis. If I may go on to say, it is really not for the court to exercise certain functions like naming a date and naming time frames. That is for His Excellency the President to name the date.
Well, that is what the Constitution does.
Yes.
3 months. I mean, that's not something we just come up with. That is what the Constitution says. 106(7).
Yes, my Lord.
Within 3 months.
Or such at a time as the National Assembly might decide upon.
And we deal with eventualities here.
Which respect contemplates that eventualities might arise, necessitate an extension.
Correct.
CCJ President Justice Adrian Saunders questioned whether GCOM should not always be in the ready, taking into consideration that a no-confidence motion could be brought at any time.
The Constitution has a provision for elections to be called within 3 months unless the Parliament, by a two-thirds majority, extends it. And therefore, it seems to me at every stage of the way, GCOM should ready itself just in case that eventuality should occur, that it can manage an election within 3 months, or else GCOM is not operating in an efficient manner.
Yeah, my Lord,
Because you have to put yourself in a position to operate so that you can conform with the Constitution if the worst comes to the worst, and as you put it, people are not acting in a reasonable way. But that is your responsibility under the Constitution, to discharge that responsibility of having an election within 3 months if there's a dissolution of Parliament and if Parliament can't agree to extend the time beyond 3 months.
The attorney for GCOM told the court that he believes that the provision in the Constitution also caters for members of the National Assembly to be acting in a responsible and mature manner that would allow for GCOM to be properly ready to host the elections. Senior Counsel Marcus said it is the responsibility of GCOM to always ensure that elections are free and fair, and it would need time to ensure that. Justice Saunders told the attorney that it appears as though GCOM should also ensure that if a situation occurs that is outside of the norm, the Commission should make itself ready to hold elections in a short period. Attorneys for Chartered Accountant Christopher Rem argued before the CCJ today that the Guyana Elections Commission should be instructed by the CCJ to host early elections if it agrees with the appeal. The attorney representing the opposition leader Barra Jagdeo also made similar arguments before the judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Well, as the appeals continued before the Caribbean Court of Justice this afternoon, the attorney representing the Attorney General of Guyana told the court that the former government member of Parliament, Sharon Des-Persad, had an obligation to vote with his party in the National Assembly, and by voting against his own list, he violated the Constitution. Senior Counsel Eamon Courtenay told the CCJ that Guyana's Constitution and the political system are unique, and the court must remember that they are dealing with an issue in Guyana. The senior counsel was questioned about whether members of Parliament had a conscience vote. He reminded the judges that in Guyana, MPs are elected based on a party list and not on their own. In addition to arguing that Charandas Prasad's vote was against the Constitution since he needed to inform the Speaker and the head of his list about the vote prior to the vote, the attorney also told the court that because Charandas Prasad was not qualified to serve as a member of Parliament in the first place, his vote should not have been counted. Stay with us, more news in a moment.
Hey, babe. Hello? Is Don me quite just done?
Buddy, you need to switch to GTT Fab 5.
Fab 5?
Activate the GTT Fab 5 plan today. For only 5,005, you get free unlimited calls to 4 of your closest family and friends, 5 gigs of data plus 250 text messages, and your Fab 5 friends can call you for free. GTT Fab 5.
Oh, yeah, I like the switch. Wicked Fab 5.
The future is green. Let's help you experience the future with easy financing for your business or home. Be it for solar energy, water treatment recycling, water filters, energy saving appliances, or wind power projects. Enjoy competitive interest rates, fast approvals, and discounted lending services fees, low equity contribution, and flexible repayment. Visit us for details or go to www.gbtibank.com or email us at banking@gbtibank.com. GBTI, we see Guyana through your eyes.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
Welcome back. A police sergeant has been placed under close arrest as the Guyana Police Force investigates the death of a 25-year-old police lance corporal. Lance Corporal Carlos Allen died at a Georgetown hospital over the weekend after an alleged beating by the police sergeant. The beating incident reportedly took place at the police constabulary headquarters. According to reports, the young policeman was involved in a misunderstanding with the sergeant on Saturday. That misunderstanding led to a confrontation, which resulted in the Lance Corporal being beaten to the head and body by the sergeant. Although he complained about the injuries, he was not allowed to seek medical attention until later in the day after he started to lose consciousness. While undergoing medical treatment, the policeman died. His superiors reportedly only became aware of his death on Tuesday when they realized he had not reported for duty. A post-mortem examination revealed that he died from brain hemorrhage and blunt trauma to the head. The policeman's mother only learned of her son's death on Wednesday when she was contacted by the police and asked to visit the Albertown police station. In a statement last evening, the Guyana Police Force said an investigation has started. The force has promised to provide more details as those details become available. Well, the son of former Prime Minister Samuel Hinds found himself in court again today, this time facing several charges related to allegedly assaulting a police officer and driving under the influence of alcohol. 38-year-old Samuel Hinds Jr. appeared in court this morning before Magistrate Clive Nurse and pleaded not guilty to the charges. The court was told that on the 9th of May at Main Street here in Georgetown, Hinds resisted arrest from Police Constable Canterbury during the execution of his duties. It is further alleged that Hinds behaved in a disorderly manner, allegedly assaulted the police constable, and refused to submit himself to a breathalyzer test. Hinds Jr. pleaded not guilty to all of the charges, and although the prosecutor objected to bail, he was granted bail in the sum of $50,000 and ordered to return to court on the 12th of June for the continuation of the matters. There are reports that other charges could be filed against him as the police investigation is ongoing, and he's also being accused of pointing a firearm at a traffic police ranks who stopped him as he headed home from a night spot. Back in 2015, Hinds was found guilty and sentenced to 2 months in jail for the assault of his sister-in-law. In the aviation sector right now, if Fly Jamaica decides to return to the friendly skies, the airline will have to seek new operating certification. The Jamaican Civil Aviation Authority has suspended the operating certificate for the Guyanese-owned airline. The head of Jamaica's Civil Aviation Authority, Nari Singh, was quoted by Jamaica's RJR News as saying that the action was taken as the airline had not been operating for several months and had closed its operations earlier this year. If Fly Jamaica decides to restart its operations, it will have to go through the entire process of applying for and being granted a new operations certification. Fly Jamaica operated a number of flights from Guyana to Jamaica, Toronto, and New York. The airline's 757 aircraft was forced to make an emergency landing at Guyana's Cheddi-Jagan Airport back in November. The plane crashed on landing, and that accident effectively crippled the airline, forcing the closure of its operations. The head of Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, Egbert Field, told news source that with the suspension of Fly Jamaica's operation certificate by Jamaica, where it was registered, it would mean that the airline automatically cannot operate in Guyana. Fly Jamaica is yet to officially inform the Guyanese authorities of its decision to end its operations, although the airline has laid off all of its staff members in Guyana. Across the region is coming up next.
Friends with benefits!
Let's be friends with benefits.
The craziest concert to hit Guyana! Friday, 24th of May, 2019! We head to DCC ground! Let's give Street Queenstown! Friends with benefits! Somebody say block party!
The last Inhale Soca Block Party was a definite hit. There was like these fire breathers and stuff like that. Like they had conga lines and the whole vibe for the party was just perfect.
We had a blast. I did all of the bass makeup.
You know, the girls walking around with the gunny thing, spraying, spraying the shots in the mouth, kneeling down, see boys kneeling down, put the foot, getting shots in the mouth.
They had some things that I had never seen before, which is these CO2 guns.
They literally had like a mosh pit in front of the stage. Everybody form a circle and people jumping in and dancing crazy, girls on the ground.
DJs, they were really good.
Where the music crew there?
That most of all made us enjoy ourselves.
The only advice I could give y'all is to definitely get y'all tickets early.
I will be there soon as Drew give him a free pass.
The Soca Block Party, Friday the 17th of May.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2019 Mother and Daughter Pageant is here. It's a red carpet affair, a super display of fashion, creativity, and talent, bonding mother and daughter through the superpower of love. Produced by Super Stylistics, Saturday, May 11, 20 hours at the National Cultural Center. Tickets $3,500, $3,000, and $2,500. Celebrating 28 years of love, the 2019 Mother and Daughter Pageant.
Motor gasoline grades are determined by the octane rating of the fuel. The octane rating of a fuel is the standard measure of the performance of a motor gasoline. Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline is a high-octane premium gasoline. Fuel up and drive with Super 95 from Guy Oil.
Across the region right now, the government of Antigua and Barbuda has confirmed that it has officially submitted a document to the authorities in Barbados indicating its interest in purchasing the shares that the country owns in the cash-strapped regional airline Liat. Antiguan Prime Minister Gaston Brown said the proposal was submitted on Tuesday and his government is anticipating a favorable response from Barbados. The revelation from Brown follows a recent meeting of Liat's shareholder governments in Antigua, where it was agreed that the proposal from the Prime Minister regarding the direction of the airline would be examined. As the Barbadian Prime Minister was not present at the meeting, the Barbadian representative said upon his return he would raise the issue with the Barbadian Prime Minister. During the meeting, the Antiguan Prime Minister presented the proposal, which involves, among other things, a way to finance the keeping of the 3 planes owned by the Caribbean Development Bank. There was also a suggestion that the planes be sold as part of the downsizing of Liat, and there is consensus among some shareholders that this is a matter which merits a very serious consideration. In Belize, the people of Belize have voted in favor of taking the long-standing border dispute with Guatemala to the International Court of Justice. According to media reports out of Belize, unofficial results from polling stations across the country late yesterday indicated that the yes votes were leading by more than 4,000 votes. Following the preliminary reports, the United States has congratulated Belize on the outcome of the referendum. Assistant Secretary of State for Western Hemisphere Affairs in the U.S. State Department, Kimberly Brer, in a message on Twitter earlier today, said the vote demonstrates democratic action that benefits the people of both countries. Ahead of Wednesday's referendum, Prime Minister Barrow said that the ICJ referendum was a national issue, which should never divide Belizeans along party lines. And finally tonight, international news. European powers have said they remain committed to the Iran nuclear deal, but that they reject any ultimatums from Tehran to prevent its collapse. Iran announced on Wednesday that it had suspended 2 commitments under the 2015 accord in response to the economic sanctions the U.S. reimposed last year. It also threatened to step up uranium enrichment if it was not shielded from the sanctions' effects within 60 days. The EU, the UK, France, and Germany noted with great concern Iran's move. Under the nuclear deal, which is known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities in return for sanctions relief. But a year ago, US President Donald Trump abandoned the deal, saying it was a horrible one-sided deal and needed to be renegotiated. Iran's economy is now siding towards a deep recession, the value of its currency has dropped to record lows, and its annual inflation rate has quadrupled. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.